Good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to Thrive with Renee Lunch Break Conversation. My name is Renee Antoine. I am a life insurance and retirement specialist. I help my clients protect, save, and grow their money. Today is Monday Mindset. And so today I have a special conversation for you all. Did you know that 1 out of 10 women experience postpartum depression? So today's conversation I have with me life coach and mom of two, Chrystelle Etienne, who will talk to us about what is postpartum depression, what are some signs of it, and 3 tips that we can, use to help us overcome it. And then, so with that being said, this conversation is not to replace any medical or clinical advice that you are seeking. We say to go seek a medical or clinical professional if that's something that you are doing, and then continue to take any advice or direction that they share with you. This is just basically a conversation to help with whatever else that you are doing. So with that being said, please welcome my guest today, life coach and mom of two, residing in Long Branch, New Jersey, Chrystelle Etienne.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Chrystelle.
Hello.
How are
I'm so
you?
happy to be here. Thank you so much, Renee, for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for being with me. So, Chrystelle, at this time, I want the audience to know who is Chrystelle Etienne.
Oh,
Okay, so how did you become in this journey of being a life coach for mamas, facing postpartum depression?
okay. So, hi, everybody. My name is Chrystelle. So, about 2 years ago, 2018, my husband and I, we got married very young. I actually got married at 19. So, we've been married for about 6 years now. And we welcome a beautiful baby boy, Willens, into the world at the age of 23. And it was just so hard being a new mom and not knowing what to do and not knowing the expectations in life. So when I gave birth, well, I should say when I was pregnant, there was a lot of mixed emotions, a lot of excitement, I should say, being a new mom and being very excited to have a new baby. That's how it should be when you're pregnant and you are looking to give birth. So there's a lot of excitement and being happy and cannot wait to meet your baby. And it was just from day one when I gave birth and I just went totally black. It just went black for me and I was so lost. And I did not know what to do. I did not know who to reach out to and I did not know who to talk to. And it was just a dark place for me. It was very dark for I should say about 19 to 20 months where I suffered until I finally got pregnant with my daughter. Then one day I woke up and I said, you know what? This is it. It is no longer, I will no longer take postpartum depression, take over my life and take over me not being able to tend to my baby and not being a happy wife and not being able to content my husband. So one day I woke up and I said, you know what? This is it. So this is how I was able to overcome postpartum depression and move from my darkness. So that's why I created a program where I coach women to overcome postpartum depression and giving them tools. And I also wrote a book called The Abort Method, where I sell to women on steps that they can use to overcome postpartum depression to actually help.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, definitely, if you are experiencing any of what Chrystelle is sharing right now, please stay in this conversation. Again, share it, ask your questions. I'm sure she'll be more than willing to answer any question that you may
Of
have.
course.
And so, but Chrystelle, for those of us who may not be technically familiar with postpartum depression and baby blues, can you clarify to us as in regard to what is postpartum depression?
So postpartum depression is, like you said earlier, 1 to 10 women, about 1 in 10 women suffer from postpartum depression after they give birth. It's just like I would say postpartum depression is a illness where we suffer and we don't know. Sometimes it can be a lot of emotions. It can be a lot of different things where you can suffer from sadness. You can't tend to your baby. You can bond with your baby. Compared to postpartum blues, and postpartum depression can last. more than until you can actually find help. Compared to baby blue lasts about up to 2 weeks after you give birth. Baby blue is a little more different than postpartum depression. Baby blues, it's where you're having a lot of sadness. Sometimes it can be, you crying and not knowing the reason why you're crying. That was one thing that was happening to me. I would sit in a dark room and I would just sit here in tear. I would be crying, and my husband helped. My husband does a lot of things, that can help me around the house with the baby, and I was still in a dark place. So yeah, it's hard for all of the mamas out here. It's very hard.
And then, so with that being said, what would you say? Sometimes people are sad, they're thinking, okay, it's normal, I'm just sad, right? But then, how would you say, okay, this is not a normal sad? How would you differentiate from, typical normal feelings versus like a postpartum or baby blues feeling? Like, what are some signs, of that?
So for postpartum blues, it's a lot of sadness where mostly bonding, you're unable to bond with your baby. Compared to postpartum depression is a little more severe, where you are really in a dark place. You get very, like, one of the things that used to really trigger me was the baby crying, and I did not know how to tend to the baby because my son was very, very, very colicky in the beginning of, the first few weeks of his life. So more of, you're not able to tend to your baby, I would say, with postpartum blues. But postpartum depression is a little more severe, where some people will just, a lot of negative thoughts, anything will just bother you, and it just lasts so much longer compared to baby blues lasts up to 3-4 weeks after having birth. But postpartum depression can last up to until you can actually find help.
Thank you kindly for sharing that. Hello to everyone joining us live. I see you, I appreciate you. I am live in conversation with life coach and mom of two, Chrystelle Etienne, who is having a conversation with us in regard to postpartum depression and how we can overcome it. Obviously, it's a process. And then again, we're not giving you medical or clinical advice. Continue to seek medical or clinical professional advice. So, Chrystelle, what would be your first tip to anybody listening right now in regard to helping someone to overcome postpartum depression?
So my first tip I would give to all of you mamas out here, that one thing that it just might be very small, but that's one thing for me that I realized when I was suffering from postpartum depression that helped me overcome was acknowledgement. Once you're able to acknowledge that you are suffering, that you are not normal, that you are experiencing postpartum blues or postpartum depression, once you're able to express your feelings to your loved one, to your spouse, a friend, you know it's so much easier once you acknowledge. You are more, your spouse will be a little more sensitive, family members will be a little more understanding. Then you'll be more at ease when people can understand that you are suffering and you are going to postpartum depression, because it's very real. Even not postpartum depression period is very, it's very real. Some people can have depression, and when they give birth and they suffer from postpartum, which is mixed together, which is something that can be really hard if you don't take care of yourself and if you don't take initiative on getting treated.
Awesome, awesome. So first tip from life coach Chrystelle Etienne is acknowledge it. And when you say acknowledge it, are you saying like self-acknowledgement or maybe like to a clinical or medical professional? Like what would be the step to acknowledge it?
It could be both. With me, I was able to self-acknowledge that something was different with me. And a lot of new moms, when we give birth, and one thing that I could say that could lead to postpartum depression is a lack of sleep. When you're tending to your baby, your spouse, depending if your spouse went back to work or if you don't have any help around the house, and babies are not on a sleeping schedule when they first born. So until you're able to put the baby on a sleeping schedule, then it's just, you're up half of the night, feeding the baby, especially if you're breastfeeding, or if your baby is very colicky. That was one thing that I suffer with. Then it can be both. Like, when I went to my postpartum checkup after 6 weeks of giving birth to my son, the doctor could see that I was going through postpartum depression, but I knew that something was wrong with me. And it wasn't, I did not know it was postpartum depression, but I know something was wrong. And I know that I was very depressed, but I didn't know it was postpartum depression. So a lot of women, we are, when we give birth and we are feeling a lot of different pain and different symptoms. And I have depression. I'm sad. I don't know what to do. I can't sleep, lack of sleep. And I don't know what to do with this baby. And they can't really say, let me reach out for help. Sometimes it can be very hard because one thing that I will say is a lot of baby, mommy shaming and people judging and not understanding and not being in your shoes. So that's what, really pushed me. And that was my mission on creating this program where I give women a safe space where they can vent, they can heal, and they can grieve. Because most of the time, I know, for me, it was very hard. I couldn't share with my husband. I was so scared because I was scared of the guilt. I didn't want to tell any family members except for my sister because I know that she went through it. So I was so scared to tell anybody. Like, I didn't want anybody to tell me I'm a bad mom, or, especially, how it is with the Haitian mindset in the Haitian community. So everybody is expecting you to be a certain way as a mom. And that was one thing that I was really scared of, is being judged and not people accepting me that I was suffering. So
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I remember in high school, we had to read this article. There's a lot of reading in high school, and the piece was called "The Yellow Wallpaper," and it was about postpartum depression. But it was at a time when, obviously, I'm thinking it's like way back, maybe early 1900s, where there was no term for postpartum depression. And I can understand what you're saying now, because if it's not acknowledged in our communities, and then there can be that, that sense of judgment. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
yes, it is. And I'll give you a very short story with my son. And that's what triggered my postpartum depression and went really down the hill. So my son walked at a really, really early age as a baby. He walked when he was about 8 months, and his leg was very bow-legged, like he was really open. Now that I'm looking at my son videos when he was walking, and I'm like, oh my God, it did not look so bad to me when he was younger. And one thing that really triggered me was just every time I would step out of my house, I would pray that somebody would not look at me or would not see me, because the judgment, everybody would tell me, oh my God, you don't take your kid to the doctor. Look at his legs. What is wrong with him? And that used to just, I used to pour in tears because I know I was, taking the proper step, the proper procedures, taking him to doctors. I even took him to a surgeon, orthopedic surgeon, but I was still getting the mommy shaming on people telling me that I'm a bad mom and I'm not taking care of my son's needs. It was one day I went to the beach from the car. I got out the car. We put him in a stroller and he didn't want to sit, so we let him walk because he was learning how to walk. So we let him walk. From the time we got out the car till we got to the sand, 5 people reached out to me and looked at me and asked me what was wrong with my son's leg. And I burst into tears and I put him back in the car and I left and I went home. So people did not know, people don't know. They don't know you. So they didn't know how much he affected me when they kept asking me, because I know that I was taking the proper step to get his legs treated. But it was just, everybody was curious. Everybody wanted to know. Everybody telling me I'm a bad mom because I'm not doing what he needs to do. Or you need to put boots in his leg. You're very familiar with that as a Haitian woman. You need to put boots in his leg so his leg can be straight. You need to let him walk, let him sleep with the boots. And that was one thing that the doctor was telling me that was not necessary. And because I wasn't doing it, there was a lot of shaming, a lot of, talking. But I'm over it and I'm happy. I overcome and I'm a different woman.
For you. Good for you. She has overcome. She's a different woman, and she is here to help us other women who may not be where she's at, to get to a place of overcoming as well. And so, that being said, let's go to tip number two. How can us
Okay.
women who may feel, going through postpartum depression, what's the second tip you have for us today?
So the second thing I would say, mamas,
I think.
is to take your break. So us women, we are wives, we are working, or we are entrepreneurs. And we forget all about ourselves and we take care of everybody in them, Everybody in our household and everybody outside, cousins, aunties, everybody. And we forget all about ourselves. So the second thing I would say is demand your break time. And alone time is so important. It's so important for your mental health, for your, it's overall, is taking your break. And there's a lot of things that that you can do taking your breaks. It's not one thing of, just taking a nap. Something as simple as, for me, taking a nap is part of my break time. Something as, for me, sometimes I said, okay, going live on my private group and giving all the mamas tips on things that they should do to overcome is part of my break time. So I use my break time, at least I take an hour to 30 minutes to an hour every single day for me. This is Chrystelle time. I do have two kids and I am married, and I am an entrepreneur and I'm still working full time. So alone time is very important for me to keep going. So I would say the second tips is to take your breaks. Taking break from motherhood.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. I hear you being the wife, the entrepreneur. I mean, we do it all. And then, like you said, take the break and also give ourselves some grace. Would you
Of
agree?
course,
It's like just
be easy on
mhm.
yourself. Even the little things that you can do. To me, when I was really in a dark place, something as simple of getting out of bed and taking a shower was such a big accomplishment. And I used to just applaud myself just for taking that step. Because sometimes I would just lay in bed, my husband will come from work, and I would still be in the same outfit, and my son will be crying, or I have to cook, or I have to clean, or I have to take my son to the doctor. And especially, I have my grandmother living with me. She's 83, so I'm also a caretaker for her. So all these things, and I mean, I am here forgetting about myself. I was not taking care of myself. I was gaining a ton of weight, and I said, you know what? It's time for me to just get up and do what I have to do for myself. And not that I'm not taking care of my husband, I'm not taking care of my kids, but I am still demanding my alone time. My husband also get his alone time because he's a personal trainer. He goes to the gym, but Chrystelle also take her alone time. Sometimes for me, it's early in the morning, 6 o'clock. I get to the gym where the kid, while the kids are still in bed, or sometimes it's just me coming from work, getting my nails done, doing my hair, doing things for me, getting a drink with my girls. That is still break time. There's a lot of things that you can do, just for your sanity and your mental health. So that is such an important thing. I would say to all of the mamas out here, take your break. Then you will be, once you can take a break from motherhood and you will come back and you fully recharge, then your baby don't have to get the broken piece of you. You snapping, you in a crappy mood,
Yes.
and you're not happy. Because that happened when you're very frustrated. You feel like, okay, I'm doing this. I've been up since 6 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm still working. You did not take any break. Then your baby's just getting all the broken pieces and you getting upset. And you don't want your baby just seeing a mad woman
Yes.
all the time.
This conversation, I mean, I see you all watching, comment, because this conversation is so real and it's so raw, and I appreciate your transparency and your honesty. And then, so what you are saying right now, I mean, I'm a mom, I'm definitely going through what you are saying right now. And then I feel like a lot of people could I guess benefit from this conversation. I have with me Mary Mika Gales, who is watching.
Good
Hey,
afternoon.
Marie.
Hi,
Hi,
Mika.
Mika. Thanks for joining us. She is the owner of Tres Natural. You see her beautiful hair. So
Yes, I
yeah,
do.
I'll start on her hair journey. Yes, so I can have that flawless look. Yeah. So yes,
Absolutely.
mom. She said, mom shaming is
Shaming is
horrible.
horrible. Yes, it is.
Definitely.
It used to break me down to tears. I would just come
Yes.
home and I would just sleep in bed and I would just cry. Because I know I was doing my best and doing what I needed to do for my child, but I was still being judged. So I understand.
So I mean, like, I didn't even intend to go there, but based on the realness of your conversation, let's talk about maybe the cultural aspect of motherhood. Especially with us. I'm Haitian. I believe that's your background as well. And then so now you are in America with a Haitian background and Haitian culture, family. And so now it's a big. You have to balance all of it because the
So,
way that maybe some people in Haiti, I guess raise your
You know, you
children
have
versus
aunties and
here. You don't
grandmas and
have,
everybody around.
yeah,
And
those
here it's
you
completely
have
different.
everybody who can help you. But in now here you going through it. I mean, most people are going through it alone. So can you talk about like kind of like balancing those different cultural aspects?
Okay, so I will go back down memory lane as me being a child. So being raised in Haiti, I was raised in Haiti until the earthquake, the earthquake that happened back in 2010, and then I moved to the US. So being a child living with my dad and me watching my dad, raising us and my mom was just okay, Crystal. You are going to be a wife one day. You have to learn how to cook. You have to learn how to clean. You have to learn how to do all these things. And here I am. I moved to the US, and my husband and I, we got married at a very early age. Like I said earlier, I was 19 when I got married. And in two different backgrounds. So I'm from Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and my husband is from Saint Mark, where my dad was still very involved in the house, where my mom is not the only person that used to do everything. Compared to my husband family, the girls does it all. Does the cleaning, does the cooking, does everything. And the guys, my husband, just go to school and come home and play around with his boys, go play soccer in the evening time. And they really didn't have to do anything, not even wash their plate that they eat dinner. Okay. So when we got married, it was going very well, very well. We got married, we moved into an apartment, we enjoying life as a new couple, and we're happy. And then boom, I got pregnant, and my son came into the world. Then it was something different. Then the expectation as a wife changed because they expect you to still tend to them and you being available for the baby. And it's just very hard because, they expect you to still do the cooking, to still do the cleaning. And I went back to work part time. I didn't go back full time when I went back to work. I was just working 3 days a week. And these things were still an expectation. And I'm like, we need to talk this out because it's not gonna work. It can't work like this. I'm like, okay, so we need to break down the chores on things that you can do around the house and I can do around the house so we can both meet our needs and still take care of the baby and still take care of ourselves. Until I was able to share responsibility with my husband, where Crystal don't have to wake up on a Saturday and okay, so Crystal has to cook a full blown meal. Crystal has to cook. Crystal has to do laundry. At the time we used to live in an apartment, we didn't have a laundry at home. So Crystal has to put everything in the car and take it to the laundromat and do all these things. So until I said, okay, so we need to break this down a little bit and share the responsibilities. Then that's one thing that us women, we suffer so much because we are scared to ask. We are scared to communicate with our partner. So that was one thing that was really big on. I said, honey, this has to cut down like right now. I can't. Crystal is going on a dark place, and I need your help. And my son was very colicky. So imagine my mother-in-law passed away. My father-in-law works, so it's not like he can help with the baby and watch the baby all the time. And my parents are not here. My parents are in Haiti, so I did not have to help. So it was just me and him, and that's it. So, with me still working part time, so we used to work different days where we still was able to stay home with the baby until he was up to 14 months, and that's when we decided to send him to daycare. So until we shared the responsibilities, then he was always bumping heads. So one thing I will
Wow, wow,
say,
wow.
communicate is the key. You have to communicate and voice what you want and what you need in your relationship in order, and that will help you with postpartum depression as well. That will help you with the feelings and frustration of you feeling like you're doing everything by yourself.
So what I'm hearing is advocate for yourself.
Absolutely.
And you advocating for yourself, you're technically advocating for your child because that puts you in a better state to better take care of them.
Of course, and be more, and I could be more, I would say very more happier and be a better mom and be a good mom to my son. And my son will always see the happy Crystal and not the frustrated Crystal that's always a mad woman complaining or talking the lip up, having to do everything around the house.
Awesome, awesome. I have Denise Adonisi who is watching with us. Hey, Denise, I appreciate the support always. Thank you. She is a blogger, so check her out on her page. Am I muted?
No, you're talking, I hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Awesome, awesome. She said most African American women have raised the kids on their own. Most are single parents. Yeah, we should talk about that. And then
Mm-hmm.
now she says, I'm married to a Nigerian, so my kids are half Nigerian. So I think that's going back to the cultural aspect of motherhood and the expectation. So I feel like you even gave like way more than the three tips, because we talk about acknowledgement, we talk about taking a break, we talk about communicating, advocating for ourselves. Okay, so I think I'm gonna be a little greedy and ask you for I think you are the last one. Was that because the people are watching, the like it, comment, let us know. Is this helpful to you?
Of course.
Also, do you wanna maybe comment on Denise's comment in regard to most African
Go ahead,
American
Denise.
women have raised uh the
Most
kids on
African
their
women have
own, and
raised their
most are
kids on
single
their own, and
parents.
most are single parents. I give a lot of applaud, to all of our single moms out here, because it is very, very hard. As me, even, I have my husband help, he's still working, and I have the help of him helping me around the house. And our single woman, they doing it by themselves and they still have to work. But there's what I would say, there's a lot of resources out there, that can help with moms. I know where I'm at here, there's childcare, where they help you with childcare to put the baby in daycare. There's a lot of outside sources that we can use as single women, that are suffering and doing everything on our own, and not having a spouse. I know that, with here they have like the, how you call it, it's something where the kids go after school. It's like a club. It's not too far from my house. I forgot the name of it, but it's something that
Oh,
they can
it's
do.
different places have different names. Like After School Matters in Chicago.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, that can help
Yeah.
them, so the kids can still interact and still learning, where mom can still have time to themselves after they leave from work. I know that's one thing one of my friend did. The baby, she worked throughout the day and take the baby to after care, where they have all these programs and things that they can do, where she can still take some time and do things before she pick the kid up. So there's a lot of, outside
Awesome.
resources that we can use to still, have mental health and still take our breaks.
Yes, yes. For those of you joining now, my name is Renee Antoine. I am a financial services entrepreneur, helping my clients to protect, save, and grow their money. I am live in conversation with life coach and mom of two, Chrystelle Etienne, who we have been talking about postpartum depression and how mom can rise above it. And then so she'll share her story with us. And then so I have Germania Cambridge stating, I'm not a mother yet, but I think these tips will be very helpful for me in the future. I agree,
Good, thank you.
definitely. Definitely. Pepper 2 Robert says, great life. Thank you. Yes, thank you,
Thank
Pepper
you,
2.
Purposey.
Obviously, is a health coach, so definitely check her out. If you want to maintain your body, what you put inside of your body, check her out. And then so we talk about the issue. We talk about some of the how you can recognize it, and then some of the tips that can help with overcoming it. But then for people who maybe want a little hint of help, who need some guidance, who need somebody who can help them, too with helping them overcome it, what does Chrystelle Etienne Life Coach have to offer?
So, what I offer in my program, I do have right now going a weekly program that I do for women, where I give them a safe space. So all the women gather together once a week, where we talk. We give them time to talk and vent on how their week going, and we also give them something that they can work on a weekly basis, on things that can help them go into their day, tips that they can, when they are being triggered, while they having their ups and downs, on things that they can do to reconnect with themselves. So there's a lot. And then I also do the weekly coaching. So I do have a 3 months program, a 6 months program, and a long last program, which is 12 months. If you need more help, where I provide lasting help of up to 12 months to help you overcome.
I'm not sure if there's any delay. Either.
I
Can you
think
hear me
it's
okay,
frozen.
Chrystelle? I think
I hear you now, but it was
yes,
frozen.
but now I can hear you though.
Perfect. Yes.
Okay, good, 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 good. Awesome. And
And
then
then
so what
I
I'm gonna do
also
right
have
now,
I'm gonna post it in the comment below,
thank you
because
to
I
all
also
of you
have
who are commenting.
it's delayed. Mhm. I think she's delayed.
I think we're frozen again. I'm not sure what's going on. So I'm
I
gonna
hear you
share
now.
this.
It
You
was
hear me?
frozen.
Okay. This
Hmm.
is Chrystelle Facebook page for those of us mama who wanna find joy in motherhood and live without fear. And then so you can connect with her on her Facebook page, Chrystelle Etienne. She also have a Facebook group which I highly recommend that you go and like it and follow it if you wanna continue this conversation. Let me
Yeah,
see.
so I do have, I forgot to mention that. So I do have a Facebook group where I go live weekly on giving, women tips that they can overcome. Something has, and tips to help them putting their baby on a sleeping schedule. All different things that women are going through, anxiety, things that will help with anxiety, where I go live on a weekly basis on giving free tips. So I will post the link in the comment below. So if you'd like to join the free group, and we'll be very welcome to have you.
Mika was gracious enough to put the link, and then I'm not sure if you can see it, but I'm also showing it here on the StreamYard.
Yes, I do see it. Thank you.
Yes, and then so this is Wise Above Postpartum Depression. This was an awesome conversation. If you need a little guidance, definitely reach out to Chrystelle, follow her Facebook page, connect on the group. Okay, and if you any of you have any questions right now, I mean, typically we go to 12:30, but I feel like if anybody has a question, I think Chrystelle will be more than happy to
Of
answer
course,
those
yes. I'm here
questions
for you all.
for us. So with that being said, in the meantime, I think Eddie, thank you for posting that. Eddie says, please get life insurance. Yes, definitely. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. You and need to talk to somebody about maybe building extra income. Talk to me about that as well. So thank you again, Chrystelle. I appreciate this conversation. I appreciate your transparency, your
Thank
awareness,
you.
and just the honesty. To all of you who's been watching this conversation, I hope that it was valuable to you. And then, so definitely, we can continue to have this conversation by connecting with Chrystelle via her Facebook page or Facebook group, and take care of yourself. So I'm just going to paraphrase like the tips that you shared was acknowledge, okay? Acknowledge, and then help me out with number two.
Breaks, taking your breaks.
Breaks, yeah. Acknowledge, take your breaks. Advocate for yourself, I think was the extra one. Communicate
Yes.
and advocate. And what was the last one?
Observe. We didn't really talk about that yet. So
Oh,
it's
we
just
can. I mean,
observe.
yes. I'm sorry.
So the third tip that I have for you guys is observe. One thing I would say is observe the pattern. With me is one question I have for you is what is your child's sleeping schedule? Because that was one thing that triggered my postpartum depression a lot because my baby was not on a sleeping schedule. He would go to sleep at night and I would have to be up with him at night. And for me to go to work, I was very frustrated, very upset. So, what is your child's sleeping schedule? And one thing I would say, what is a time during the day that seems to trigger you the most, that makes you more frustrated and tends to make you more upset? So, that is what I will say is observe the pattern, just journaling and writing things down that you observing. And that will
Well,
really
she
help a
gave.
lot.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for all sharing all these great tips with us. I appreciate you. This was a great
Thank you.
conversation.
Thank you.
My name is Renee Antoine. I appreciate all of you who was live with us. Connect with me if you are in need of any financial services, and connect with Chrystelle if you need a little, hands-on guidance,
Word and
help, need a
guidance
friend,
on.
support, whatever it is. Okay, I'm in Chicago, so I cannot give you a hug. Plus, with Corona, we cannot hug. But if you need a hug from somebody
I
you
give
know,
you a virtual hug.
virtual hugs. So thank you again. This has been Live in Conversation Thrive with Renee Monday Mindset. This has, I mean, because like my show is really directed to entrepreneurship, like entrepreneurs, so kind of like sharing resources and tools, but then working with our mindset, but then that also deals with our livelihood, because
Of
based on
course,
our
motherhood, and most
livelihood.
of us mothers that are entrepreneurs are also mothers, and we have to deal with kids and
Yes,
depression. So,
yes, 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 most definitely. So we have to take care of ourselves so we can be not only better for ourselves but better for our families and better for our community. This has been Winnie Antoine. live with Chrystelle Etienne. I will see you all Wednesday for wisdom, Wednesday for financial knowledge. Have a good
Thank
one.
you
Thanks
so
again,
much.
Chrystelle. It was a pleasure
Thank
having
you.
you. Thank you to
Thank you. Have
everyone
a
who
great
was
day,
live with us.
everybody.
Share this conversation. Let us know how you enjoyed it. Leave us a comment, a like. We appreciate you. One love, Winnie Antoine, signing out.
Thank you.